This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining us for what could be one of the final webinars for the IWP series. We're joined by Aquapak and we have Mark and Todd on the line. So thank you for joining us, Mark, Todd, and Jenny, of course. I just request that anybody joining us live makes sure their microphone is kept muted throughout the webinar. Feel free to ask any questions through the chat function or at the end of the webinar. Without further ado, I'll hand over to you, Mark, to get started.
Thank you, Emma. Well, it's a pleasure to be here talking to you all and to be associated with the Woolmark brand and also the International Woolmark Prize. I was lucky enough to be invited to come and see your final, and I think the judges had a particularly tough job. From what I saw, it was pretty phenomenal collection, but congratulations to Richard Malone on your victory. So it's great for us to be here and be part of that and to be sponsoring IWP in the way that we have a product that you can put your fine garments in that can then get safely to where they need to be for your consumers to be able to enjoy them in pristine condition, but then can also cause no environmental damage in terms of the way the packaging arrived. In other words, we have an alternative to the standard way that fashion garments are packed in plastic and can be shipped around the world, but leave no trace at the end. So I just want to tell you a bit more about Aquapak and how we do that, and then hand over to my colleague, Todd Rosen, who's based out in Singapore and can work with you in terms of the supply chain and how that works to support you should you want to take this forward and use the Aquapak product to transport your garments in. So a bit about Aquapak and who we are. We're based in the UK. We make polymer. So there's a picture there on the left-hand side of resin pellets, which is polymer pellets. The reason they come in that form is they're then used to mold or blow mold through a process called thermoplastic processing or thermoprocessing into the shape of what you need. And the most ubiquitous is in film, plastic film that again gets made into bags and is printed on for your use. So what we set out to do is to be an environmental polymer business, which is to effectively give you all the functionality and benefits you get from standard plastic, but none of the detracting end-of-life issues that are so clearly visible in the environment and we're now experiencing in terms of particularly the oceans, but also the microplastics and the impact they're causing everywhere. So in that, we've created a multiple functional polymer that is capable of doing the job you need it to, but actually promotes the circular economy and end-of-life solutions that are harmless in land, soil, and sea. And we've branded that hashtag leave no trace. So as I mentioned, you can use these pellets to make and form bags through standard equipment, but at the end of its life, it can be disposed of safely in either existing controlled waste systems, or if the worst happened and it was disposed of in an uncontrolled way, it would be harmless in the natural environment and wouldn't cause any damage to the ecosystem. We're lucky enough here and around the world, as I mentioned, Todd based out in the APAC region, to have a highly experienced team of specialists in terms of either the polymer industry or the chemistry industry, but also in terms of packaging industry, to be able to support those solutions and to come up with these real environmental polymers which can really help you. And what is really important to us is that the world is full of greenwashing, of claims that we don't make any claims we can't substantiate. So if you do want any more information or data that supports the things that we're talking about on this call, or you want to understand more about the product, and I'd understand why you would, because the provenance of your product and the sustainability of it and the way that you already take a very sustainable product and turn it into some amazing clothing is really important to you, and I understand that. So we're very happy to share all our data on that basis. So how does this polymer work and this plastic work? We call it Hydropol. So it's made by Aquapak, but that's its brand name, and it comes in a couple of forms. We can formulate it so it dissolves in water at different temperatures. So in order to do that, the key difference to this is it's a hydrophilic, it's water loving. Almost all other polymers are hydrophobic, hence they hang around the environment for 700 or more years and never break down fully and cause the harmful microplastics that we all have read about and know about. And the problem with hydrophobics is they attract other hydrophobics. So anything in the natural environment that is a hydrophobic, which is toxins or hormones, for instance, will go and latch on to these other hydrophobics, and they become carriers and agitators in the ecosystem. Hydropol cannot do that because it's hydrophilic. So it's water loving, and it breaks down in water naturally, and it will break back down into mineralized biomass, CO2, and water. So it fully biodegrades. Biodegradability is a term that's overused. So biodegradability means nothing on its own. You have to define its time and the environment it will biodegrade in. In our case, if you put ours in hot or warm water, it will go into solution straight away. And when it's in solution, it is available for the microbes to effectively munch up and biodegrade. But in its form, you've got here a hydrophilic plastic, which is non-toxic. It's marine safe because it's hydrophilic, and it has multiple end-of-life options. So you could put it into your waste stream normally, or as I said, if it gets into the natural waste stream, it's going to cause no harm. And it's fully biodegradable. And as such, it promotes the circular economy. And as I said before, we can demonstrate more data behind all of these things. The hot water dissolves above 70 degrees centigrade, and that's what we recommend for a fashion or garment bag, because it's going to be robust in almost every condition around the world. So from a storage point of view and a transportation logistics point of view, it will do the job you want, but at the end of its life, it will break down harmlessly. And warm water just it dissolves at a lower temperature. It's less robust, but it's perfect for things like laminating to paper, in which case when it goes through standard paper recycling, it can be repulped because the hydropol will just dissolve off and the paper can then all be recovered, which it can't be when it's coated with standard polythene, for instance. So a little animation just to sort of summarize what I've said about the product is just going to follow now. apply into a useful form for you to use, and just sort of getting our heads around the scale of the challenge here. 350 million tons of plastic is produced globally every year, polymer, of which about 40% goes into packaging, so about 140 million tons, which is all being used by all the consumers, as we know. But just in the garment fashion industry, 5 million tons of that 140 million tons is being used just to package garments and send them around the world. And as we know, most of that is done in hydrophobic packaging or hydrophobic plastics, which means that if it does get into the waste stream or outside into the natural environment, it is going to cause a long-lasting issue, which is going to hang around for us about 700 years. So there is a negative impact associated with that, which we're all very visually aware of. And as I've said, there's also toxicity impact that can be solved by using Hydropol. It is slightly overwhelming in terms of those numbers, but I think it's important, and we believe that small steps can lead to very long journeys, and we've just got to start that. So the more we can design in that better solution at the front end, we'll start addressing the problem at the back end. So for that, we have our leave-no-trace solution, using our Hydropol polymer to make a bag, and we'd recommend that, and we'd love you guys to be using our bags to ship your garments. It will ensure that they arrive in the pristine condition, because one of the features of our product, as you've seen from the animation, it's a gas barrier, but it's not a moisture barrier because it's a hydrophilic and will break down in water. So moisture can't build up in the bag, which can have some associated benefits in keeping them mold free. But the transit will be done without compromise, just as a normal polyethylene bag would do in the same way. The bag would look the same. It's got great clarity. It's got excellent strength. It's actually 3 times stronger than a polyethylene bag. Therefore, has good puncture resistance for anything that might try and impregnate it. You can heat seal it. And as I've said, it has multiple end-of-life options, whether you want to recycle it, whether you want to use it in terms of anaerobic digestion for food waste collection, even composting it, or in the worst case, if it got into landfill, it would just biodegrade in a wet landfill, no problem, or into natural environments, as I've already described. So it is a packaging solution, absolutely, for the circular economy. So who's using it? The first brand to use it, I'm just going to bring up as a case study here, was Finisterre, who some of you might be aware of. Finisterre, a UK based brand associated very much with the sea. They're linked to the NGO Surfers Against Sewage, co-located with them actually, and their focus is around surfing and the sea. And for them, they're a B Corp as well. The bag was absolutely part of doing the right thing and the ethics and values of the business. So they've switched to all their transportation and packaging of their product into the Hydropol bag, and you can see it there. They use the leave-no-trace logo as well. Their bag there will break down over 70 degrees, so it's a hot water soluble. And as I've said, that's what happens to it. If it goes into landfill, it will biodegrade naturally, and they know it will be non-toxic because it is certified as non-toxic in a marine environment, and it can't cause the harmful toxic microplastics that you get from other hydrophobic polymers. And the question, if you were wondering about the ink, well, the ink is used from a non-toxic and food-safe source. So again, that's compatible with it and will break down naturally. Finisterre have got a lot of good publicity from this, and they've publicized it fairly widely, and that's generated a huge amount of interest in terms of the bag and with us in terms of it as a solution for the fashion industry, which one of those has been leading us to be a partner of IWP, which we're delighted to be. So I'm just going to leave you and then hand over to Todd with a short video that Finisterre made and they've used on social media to demonstrate the product. And then I'll hand over to Todd, who can follow up from a practical point of view, because he will do the follow-up in terms of when we understand your requirements. We hope you'll want to use this bag. Todd and Kim, based down in Singapore, will be the ones who can support you. So this video Finisterre just posted on their social media, and we think it's a really good way of just demonstrating how the bag works. So in hot water, it really does almost instantly go into solution in the water, as you can see there. They've just boiled a kettle and dissolved the bag. On that note, I'm going to hand over to Todd to introduce himself, and Kim, who works with him out in Singapore, and conclude the presentation before you might have any questions. Todd, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. I really appreciate it. Mark, you might want to mute your phone. There you go, better. Okay, thank you very much, Mark. I really appreciate the introduction there. Again, my name is Todd Rosen, and I work with Kim Tan here out in Singapore. And we're very excited to be part of the Woolmark organization and team, and very, very excited to be part of the fashion industry. And as Mark mentioned, 5 million tons of plastic material goes into just garment bags alone, not including other applications such as laminated tags and other types of packaging that the fashion and garment industry use. So right now we can have a direct impact, I believe, on having a solution which will help solve the global plastics pollution problem that you see worldwide, globally. And certainly also as around the world, as countries, governments, cities continue to address the single-use plastic waste issue by banning certain types of materials and banning single-use plastics. The fashion industry ships worldwide, ships globally, and from a risk management standpoint, has to have a solution and a response to be able to get their goods and products around the world to every market that they service and address. So how can Aquapak help you? Well, Kim and myself can certainly work very closely with you. Aquapak, as the raw material supplier, works with various companies that will take our raw material and convert it into film, which then they convert into garment bags. And as you know, in the fashion industry, a lot of the garment clothing manufacturers, OEMs, are located in Asia Pacific, throughout the region, from China, Vietnam, Cambodia, Bangladesh, India, and so forth. So we are working with converters that can then take our raw material and convert them into garment bags close to where you have your clothes made, but also available in Europe, in other manufacturing locations such as Eastern Europe and in the EU. So what can we do? Well, working with those converters as part of the Woolmark team, we can get preferential rates, which allows you to be able to have access to this product at a reasonable rate. We also have a program which is ready to order, our Leave No Trace, of course, tagline there. And we also can work on bespoke biodegradable packaging, garment bags, depending on really your MOQ usage. And so we've tried to structure it in such a way that all brands, small brands, large brands, major brands in the industry have access to this, to the Aquapak Hydropol technology. In addition to that, myself and Kim and other team members in Aquapak can support you in working with you on what your packaging requirements are. So the design of the bag, the logo, the artwork, how you want to present it, and so forth. So we can work through the design stage, through the production stage, to make sure you get the best product possible. And then once that you have the product and you're using it, the Aquapak team will really take advantage of the PR and media and promotion opportunities out there to get your message across as much as possible. Press releases, social media, etc. Case studies for the website and communicating your message out there. And I think, as Mark mentioned with Finisterre, because they were so committed to promoting the Aquapak environmentally friendly garment bags, they have actually seen an increase in their sales. From when they first forecasted their quantities. So it really does have an impact, and we see that the consumer is willing to pay for sustainable and environmentally friendly packaging. There. Go ahead to the next slide, please. So leave no trace bags. Of course, the design is flexible. So depending on what your needs and requirements are, the converter can offer a bottom seal bag, a side seal bag with a flap enclosure. We are working providing if a adhesive strip is needed, an environmentally friendly adhesive, which is compatible with the Hydropol bag. There, hot water solubility, so survivability through the extreme conditions of shipping containers. As these products, your products are made in various locations around the world, whether it's in Vietnam or in northern China or in the Eastern European areas. When you ship them, you put them in a box, you ship them, they will survive in this extreme conditions. So we promote our hot water soluble product there, and the track record today has been there hasn't been any issues with regards to transportation and getting the products to you and to your customers in the high quality condition that you would expect them to be in. It's clear and transparent. So we've done the trials with some major brands with some very sophisticated distribution centers around the world, and had very positive reports and feedback that it's very easily to scan the barcodes through the film. It's very clear, and there's no issue. And of course, the reason why we do this is so we have no impact on the environment and reduce their global plastic footprint. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, we work on bespoke bags, so custom bags, custom logos, and so forth, depending on the MOQ minimum order quantity requirements. But in order to have availability of this technology to, say, startup brands, so smaller brands, they don't have the leverage at the converters and the annual volume to drive it. We've developed a leave no trace bag. It's a standard size bag, 3 different sizes for typical shirts, sweaters, jeans there. And we've worked with our partner, Maxim. Maxim is a global supply chain accessories company with some of their primary products, such as tags, labels, and RFID tags for the garment and apparel industry. So we've partnered with them, Maxim. They've got distribution centers in China, Vietnam, and in the UK. And they've put on their website at emaxonline.com the ability for a brand to log in, register, set up an account, and then order whatever quantities are required, 100 to 25,000 or more, and have those shipped to whatever location that they are having their garments made. And we have the safety language, we have the vent holes, we have leave no trace, and some value added comments on really why this is such a great technology for the fashion and garment industry. We'll have stock available in the locations in April there. And then once the stock is in place and you place an order online with Maxim, those will be shipped out within 5 days. So it's really a great opportunity to have access of these bags to the smaller brands or brands that are just starting up in the industry. Next slide, please. So additional packaging options, we just don't end at garment bags. Our product is used in a variety of other applications, like laminated boxes, laminated packs, and so forth. And for the garment industry, with Maxim, in partnership with Maxim, we are working to replace PE or polypropylene, polyethylene or polypropylene as a laminated film on paper for tags. So you get the same look and finish that you would get with the traditional plastics, but now you have a completely environmentally friendly tag that goes onto your garment. And I know a lot of brands that are looking to go tagless, but in a lot of cases, the information that's required on the tag is needed for various reasons. So you need a tag that is attached to the garment. And now, working in partnership with Maxim, we're able to laminate Hydropol film onto paper to give it that nice, rich look and feel, but yet still have a totally environmentally friendly product, a tag, that has all of the end-of-life features available and built into it. So those are opportunities too for the garment industry. Next, please. So the next steps, where do we go from here? And how can we help you? Well, communicate to us what your packaging strategy is, how you would like to see your bags and how you want to get them distributed, what your type of bag you're looking for, what the quantities, annual quantities that you'll require, what the sizes you'll require. Communicate that to us. And then with that information, we can go out to our strategic partners, whether that's Maxim or whether that's some of the other converters that we have partnered with. And then working together with them, we can follow up, make sure you get the information in a timely basis, make sure you get all of your questions answered, and make sure you get all of your orders fulfilled. So you can contact Kim Tan at the email address there with all the information, and we can collect it all and then get you on your way to having an environmentally friendly garment bag for your products that you have today. So I think we have the supply chain set up to be able to service you, and we're looking forward to working with you. Any questions?
Thanks for myself or Todd. Please let us know.
So if anybody had any questions, feel free to ask them, or if you don't feel comfortable talking, send them through to the chat bar and we can read them out for you. Just while we wait for some of those to come through, thank you so much for joining us, Mark and Todd. That was fantastic. I learned a lot, so I imagine our designers did as well. Thank you. Right, well, we haven't received anything yet. I don't want to hold you up too much, Mark and Todd, but you have the contact details there, everybody. So feel free to reach out or contact your regional manager who can put you in touch directly with Aquapak. Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.